Honorable Dejembi, Deputy Minister of State, President's Office, Public Service Management and Good Governance, Engineer Zena Ahmed Said, Chief Secretary of Zanzibar, my fellow members of the Board of Directors of UONGOZI Institute, the CEO and the staff, Professor Matila, my friend Dr. Timo, my old colleagues, Professor Elisante, Balozi Kalage, good you could be here, class presidents with a small p, graduates of the postgraduate leadership, of the certificate in leadership, incoming cohort, friends and families of the graduates, the TPDF band, thank you for stepping in. All honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, I truly consider it a great honor to join those of you who are graduating today in celebrating what I hope was a time well spent at UONGOZI Institute, and in congratulating you for your successes in further developing your leadership skills. There are those who believe that leaders are born, and there are those who believe that leaders are made. For me, neither is 100% correct, for there is some truth in each of those two positions, and that's why we have UONGOZI Institute. At the launch of his autobiography on his 81st birthday, former President, the late Benjamin William Mkapa said, and I quote him, "A future leader could be born with natural leadership talents. Yet, even divinely bestowed qualities of leadership need nurturing and enhancement to make them relevant to contemporary challenges." And I agree with him entirely. However divinely gifted with leadership traits you are, UONGOZI Institute can still help you to become an even better leader. For those of you graduating today, I trust that you have been given what it takes to become better leaders. I believe you have received the specialized support you need to grow your strengths and lessen your weaknesses. And the testimonies of your presidents are absolutely correct. And I say, I hope you have received the specialized support you need to grow your strength, to lessen your weaknesses, for no one is ever perfect. And remember, programs at UONGOZI Institute aimed at, and I quote, motivating participants to become better versions of themselves and apply knowledge gained to drive positive change. And I hope you all live here well equipped, inspired, and motivated to become better leaders as intended. But what is leadership? Leading is about making a difference. If you can't make a difference, you are not a leader. If you only keep the place open, you leave it the way you found it, you haven't been a leader. Regardless of the big title you may have, in reality, you are not a leader. And frankly, no one will ever remember that you were once there. And of course, you would have wasted your time at UONGOZI Institute. The truth is, leadership is about influence. It's about motivation. It's about inspiration. It's not about the possession and wielding of power. I repeat, it's about influence, it's about motivation, it's about inspiration. Some leaders can be intimidating, whether they intend to be that way or not. I was once told of a boss who, when he says to his subordinates, "Sit down," they don't even look for a seat. But the ability to inspire fear is not what makes a leader great or effective. Rather, it is the ability to inspire and motivate, period. That is why a central pillar of programs at UONGOZI Institute aim at imparting emotional intelligence and other soft skills to be able to do so. And leadership is also about bringing the best out of the people around you. People have been put under your charge. Do you bring out the best in them? Remember, no one is completely useless. Hata maji machafu yanazima moto. Even dirty water can still put out a fire. So says the Swahili proverb. So no one is completely useless. You just have to know how you can use that person. I have a personal experience in this in my own leadership journey. There were times I would be told that so-and-so is completely useless. Only to find out later that they were not completely useless, but that the best in them had never been nudged and helped to come out. With a little empathy, with a little sensitivity, acknowledging effort and encouragement, creating mental space for them to grow, flourish, and bear fruit, I was always amazed by what they eventually became. A few leaders may have an inherent, naturally endowed capacity to bring out the best out of their subordinates. But believe me, this would be a small minority, maybe not more than 10%. The majority would need to learn and relearn how to do this. I hope that UONGOZI Institute has been able to help you with this, opening up your perspectives on what best can bring the best out of different kinds of people in different circumstances. Again, believe me, when eventually you leave your position, we always leave our positions eventually, a few of your staff might remember you for the great mission statements that you crafted, the goals you pursued, and even accomplished. But the majority will sincerely and fondly remember you, not for those fine documents and performance results, important as they are, but for how you help them unearth the talents and abilities even themselves were not aware of. They will never forget you for that. Good leadership is ethical leadership. And ethical leadership is much more than not breaking any laws, rules, of codes of conduct. It has to come out of a deep sense of right and wrong. Those who read Shakespeare would remember this. Caesar's wife must be above suspicion. It's not just about, I didn't break any rules. As a leader, be above suspicion. Good leadership also presupposes a desire for lifelong learning. There are people who think that I've graduated, no more need to learn. Good leadership presupposes a desire for lifelong learning. The founding president of Tanzania, Mwalimu Nyerere, exhorted us to pursue lifelong learning. He said, quote, elimu haina mwisho. Elimu haina mwisho. Education has no end. And he lived up to this maxim. Those old enough to remember him, he lived up to this maxim. He had a very large library filled with all kinds of books on very many different subjects. He read a lot, as a result of which he was amazingly knowledgeable about all manner of things. He showed us that learning and the pursuit of knowledge is and has to be a lifelong human endeavor. UONGOZI Institute, with its programs and its resource center, provides a perfect vehicle and opportunity for undertaking this endeavor for leaders. And I congratulate you for joining the ever-growing list of the institution's alumni. But lifelong learning in its broader sense does not have to depend on attendance in academic institutions. The quest for new knowledge has to be self-motivated and driven. It's not just about acquiring capacity building for professional development. It's also about knowledge for the sake of knowledge. Knowledge for the sake of knowledge. It's about stretching the length and breadth of the human intellect. I always see the human mind as a rubber band. It will stretch as you stretch it. If you don't make an effort to stretch it, if you don't make an effort to stretch your mind, it will remain short as it is. The choice is yours. How you want your mind to be. You want to stretch it, lifelong learning. Many years ago, I had an encounter with a minister in an airport somewhere in Europe, an airport bookshop. I always had a number of books in my shopping bag. And he came to me and said, "Ambassador, are you still reading such serious books? What more do you want to become?" And I replied, "Minister, if I don't acquire new knowledge, pretty soon I become irrelevant in the changing world." So I ask you, please make a lifelong commitment to learn and to use your learning. There is a Swahili proverb, wealth, if you use it, comes to an end. Wealth, if you have it, and you use it, it comes to an end. Learning, if you use it, increases. Uongo. So what's more valuable? Wealth or learning? Again, I urge you, make lifelong learning part of you. Let me conclude by cautioning you on two fronts. The first is in relation to blame attribution. The easiest things for human beings to do. Blame attribution. When things go wrong, when targets are not met, when results are not praiseworthy, the easiest thing for some leaders to do is attribute this to poor staff performance. Maybe yes. Address it if that's the case. But this can also be a depiction of an inherent leadership problem. The problem could be, yes, it could be you. So always ask yourself, do I want to be a feared leader? Do I want to be an average leader? Do I want to be an exceptional leader? I hope that your time in UONGOZI Institute has helped you to strengthen your character, and that this will be helpful as you go back to your work. Character that will prepare you well to be not a feared leader, not an average leader, an exceptional leader. Do UONGOZI Institute a favor. Go and become an exceptional leader. A leader that is also able to deal with any difficulties or challenges you might face. So the second thing I want to caution you on is in relation to those leadership challenges. Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. said, and I quote him, "The ultimate measure of a man and a woman," in bracket, those days we were still saying man, man. "The ultimate measure of a man or woman is not where he or she stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands or she stands in times of challenge, in times of controversy." End of quote. And I say to you, the ultimate measure of your leadership, graduates of UONGOZI Institute, the ultimate measure of your leadership will not be during those moments of comfort and convenience, but in those difficult times, because for sure, difficult times will come. Regardless of all the leadership tools and skills that UONGOZI Institute has given you, the proof of the pudding is where? In the eating. In the real life, leadership is not a bed of roses, not least in how you handle the challenges inherent in leading human beings. Leading human beings, tough. When I was appointed Chief Secretary and hence Head of the Public Service, I received, as you would imagine, an avalanche of congratulations, but not much counsel on how to lead so many different types of people. And you too, at your level, will lead all kinds of people. The prima donnas, vain and undisciplined people who find it difficult to work under the direction or part of any team. You will find them. You will find the know-alls with a sense of entitlement. You will find the well-connected who want you to know how well-connected they are. You will deal with the rabble-rousers, thriving only in office gossip, naysaying, fault-finding, trivializing everything, etc., etc., etc. But take comfort in the knowledge that they are also very good people, and they are the majority. So I would advise you to take heed to the counsel of William Shakespeare. Don't worry about always quoting Shakespeare. Those of us who studied a long time ago. Shakespeare says, "Love all, trust a few, do wrong to none." Love all, trust a few, do wrong to none. Then you will deal with all these kinds of people. But above all, be principled. And learn to balance well the boss-leader dichotomy. Over a century ago, someone wrote something in relation to this dichotomy. And he said, the boss drives his men, the leader coaches them. The boss depends upon authority, the leader on goodwill. The boss inspires fear, the leader inspires enthusiasm. The boss says, "I," the leader says, "we." The boss fixes the blame for the breakdown, the leader fixes the breakdown. The boss knows how it is done, the leader shows how it is done. The boss says go, the leader says let's go. End of quote. Ladies and gentlemen, Plato, the Greek philosopher, once said, "Wise men talk because they have something to say. Fools because they have to say something." I hope I was wise in your eyes. And have not made a fool of myself. I also hope you found that I had something useful to say to you today, and that I have encouraged you to go out and be more of leaders, less of bosses, Though bosses sometimes you have to be, sometimes I have to be. Thank you very much for your time.